Hey everybody, Sean from The Good Dog, and we're back with Mr. Ernie, and we have got,
Hi, Ernst.
get over here, we've got phase 2 of the sit command. So we've already done the introduction to sit. Hopefully you've watched that video. If not, go back and watch that. And then what's happened or transpired over the last handful of days have been, he's been worked through and patterned through and slowly gotten from, okay, this word means to do this. Okay, this word means to do this. This word means to do this, and stay here longer, 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 longer. And so we've been working on creating a more solid, reliable, concrete sit. And so now we're at phase 2, which means we've skipped a bunch of parts in the video because we can't show you all of it because you would be here for years. But what we did was show you the introduction, a little bit of proofing with the introduction. Now you have to imagine just very organically and slowly moving through the process, not creating excessive demands, unfair demands, putting your dog in a place where too many distractions, too much stuff going on in the environment, which is the same thing, or just anything that's going to make it so challenging for them to succeed, and then requiring that they do and correcting them that if they don't. And so you really want, like, we do all this stuff inside so it's nice and quiet initially, and that the dog is only marginally distracted by maybe, passersby and things like that. Eventually you go outside and you do all the stuff and you proof it out there. But here's where you start, in my opinion. I just think it makes it way easier on the dog. So that all said, sit's super easy command. Almost every dog knows it. They may not hold it really well, but I also don't ask dogs to hold sit for like 10 minutes. I ask dogs to hold a sit for a very short amount of time, mainly because I just use it for utility stuff. I use it to like put on a leash and prong, put on an e-collar, or before they get fed, or whatever it might be, before you're going out a door if you want. There's a multitude of moments where you would ask for a sit, but asking for duration sits is something I never do. And I don't recommend you do either. It's just uncomfortable and hard on the dog. It's like, if you want your dog to do duration stuff, make it a down or make it place. Sit should be something that your dog can hold with distractions, with you moving, but it doesn't need to be for 10 minutes. Let's shoot for like a minute. That's probably pretty damn good for real world utility. Okay, so let's see what we got with this guy. I'm going to just move him around, bring him over. We'll ask for the command. Per our regular stuff, the dog gets a free pass. When I say regular stuff, our regular protocols, I'm going to say sit. And if he doesn't, then I'm going to repeat the command and give a pop on the leash. And it'll be a small pop because he's a pretty sensitive guy, doesn't need a lot. And that should put him into the sit. If I say sit and his butt hits the ground, we're good. I'll mark it with good. And then I will probably start moving around him a little bit. Or maybe I'll do a few reps. We'll feel it out, see how I want to do this. Nothing is planned. We're flying by the seat of our pants, buddy boy. You ready? Let's go. Come on, bud. Okay, we're going to walk up. Remember, you stop, sit. Good. Now, once a dog is in a command, if he pops out, notice how the leash is nice and loose as I move around him. If he pops out, it's going to be a no, and then a correction with a little pop. He should move back into the position. If he doesn't, then I'll help him out by giving him the command again. Good. Let's go. Now, why do I say let's go there compared to a lot of trainers that say break? It's a good conversation, so let's jump into that real quick. So a lot of trainers use break as the end of kind of a sequence of any training commands that they're using. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said a million times, there's a million ways to do all this stuff. And most of these roads do indeed lead to Rome. And it's different nuances, different variations, different flavors of end results. What I was talking about was why I didn't say break. This is really critical. So I don't say break at the end of a command unless I'm truly going to break the dog, and I don't mean physically break them, I mean break the dog and release them to go do something, like go out in the backyard, go play in the house, like here's the leash is off, go do your thing. For me, and once again, this is just my approach, for me, break means you're free to go, like literally free to go, legitimately free to go. Otherwise, if I'm going to continue working with the dog, I say, let's go, right? If I'm going to be really militant about it, I'll say heel and just like heel the dog around. Most of the time, you're going to hear me say, let's go. And that means you still are working with me. You still have to pay attention. You can't just clock out. So once again, there's not a right way or a wrong way. There's just different ways. And you have to find out what makes the most sense to you and your dog, and then put your pieces together and rock with it. So don't get caught up in dog trainer, dogma and there's only one way. And it's like, to be honest, if there was only one way, you would only see one dog training company or one dog trainer who was able to train dogs correctly or able to get dogs to do what he's asking them to do, because only one way would work. In fact, you're seeing a multitude of approaches and you're seeing a multitude of dogs that are all looking nicely trained. So obviously a lot of different approaches work. So I just wanted to address that, why I told him when we moved out of that position of sit, let's go, because you're still working with me. You are not free to go. All right, hopefully that helps. Let's go. If I do say break, it's because I've made a mistake, right? Because I'm under pressure here. So if you do hear me say break at the end of something like that, that's just a trainer mistake. What I'm looking to do is say, let's go, because you're continuing to work with me. Just so you know, because we make mistakes too. Here we go, let's go. Sit. Good. Leash gets loose. Nice. Nope. Notice that NO didn't have any anger, didn't have any rush, didn't have any intensity behind it. It's just communication. Nice, neutral, flat, loud enough for the dog to hear, and then the consequence followed right afterwards. Dog went right back into the sit. A really good example of actually a good correction, done in a way without any emotionality, any intensity that's going to cause the dog to get worried, nervous, or make more mistakes. And I'm doing the touch because it's a good proofing mechanism to see if he's going to make a mistake. Good. Let's go. So that was great. You got to see that. Let's do a couple more of those and we'll wrap this up. This is super, super simple exercise. Once again, we don't need a dog to sit for 10 minutes. Walk up, you pause first, sit. Good. Leash gets loose. Now, if you look, no. So I'm correcting him now because he wants to lay down. Nope, let's go. I actually want him to hold that sit. Sit. Good. I know you're tired. So you see this position on him? If anybody wants to see the time, it's 11 p.m. So we've been training for a while and we're training late, so he's a little snoozy. But I'm going to move him out of this position, see if I can get him into a better sit, because I don't care about the sloppiness of it. I just want him to be in a little bit more of like a regular sit. Let's go. Sit. Let me face him towards you. Let's go. Go on, bud. Sit. Good. So a quick walk around. You're just a sloppy sitter is what you are. And for any trainer who's like hyper fixated on a perfect sit, like for God's sakes, unless you're doing like obedience, competition, sport work, something like that, your owners don't care anything about it. If the dog will sit and hold his sit, man, that's great. Even if he's got his legs cocked out a little bit, no problem. trainers get so caught up in like all this trainer ego silliness. And that's exactly what it is. Nope. So he almost moved. Little preemptive strike to make sure he didn't lay down or move out of it. Once again, the no was nice, neutral. No emotionality in it. Good. Let's go. That's a boy. We'll bring him around. Okay, sit. Great. All right, take it easy. Okay, so that's a really great example of phase two. Phase two, as he leans into me, phase two of sit with corrections, very mild. And the reason they're mild is, for one, he's not the most extreme guy. So I'll be really honest with you. He's not like the most challenging guy in the world. But also because we just did a ton of repetitions and really pattern to the point where it makes perfect sense for him to hold that position. So the more patterning you do, the more fair, the more organic you are in your arc of learning, and that you're paying attention to the dog and how much time he needs to succeed, the better you'll do with it, the better your dog will do with it, and the less kind of severe, intense consequences or corrections that you'll need. It's just common sense, because your dog will be patterned to whatever the behavior is, and then you can just use light reminders to try and help them do a good job. So nice work, bud. Now I think we'll jump into downs. What do you think? You got it in you? Let's go.